Hey, 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 happy Tuesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, amazingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. Normally, get to that in just a bit. It's been a frustrating day. Really, really has. Anyway, welcome aboard. This is live stream number 957. Tonight is Tuesday, August 29th, 2023. So if you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here, just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And normally we'll do a live first look at a game. And that's what we'll be doing tonight. We are going to take a peek at Brancalonia, Jinx's Almanack from Acheron Games. And we will be diving on in just a bit. This is actually hitting stores in October. So I've got my hands on a copy pretty early. Although, to be honest, I think you could have picked this up at Gen Con as well, because there are two new physical books for Brancalonia and more on the horizon. Got to talk a little bit about that as we move along. Anyway, so we are going to be taking a look at Jinx's Almanack in just a bit, but if you are tuning in live because you want to see that first look, let me point out we tackled the tabletop gaming news first around here. So it'll probably be about 35, maybe 40 minutes before we jump on into that first look. So if you're watching live, just kick back, relax, enjoy yourself. I know it's only Tuesday, but hey, I'm sure your week's already busy, so take a break. And of course, if you are watching this 30 minutes or more after the show is ended, well, it'll be easier for you to just jump past the news because there will be timestamps. And those timestamps are located in the show notes. But depending on what device you might be watching this on, the timestamps might be right there in the timeline of the video. So there is that as well. Although I've got cool news tonight, you may not want to jump past it if you're watching this after the stream ends. And of course, because this is a live stream, that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber for at least 48 hours to the channel before you can take part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you get a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Kathy Evans hanging in chat, as is the Motor City Madman. Yes, he will be on his way to Dragon Con. So we will not see the Madman for the Wednesday and Thursday shows this week, but we've got him tonight. Good to see him. Kevin King is with us, Trey Kismet, Kev Reed, and Kevin R. Smith are hanging with us, as is another of our chat moderators, Flaming Huron, chiming in from Australia. Very nice, very nice. And I would take a guess that we probably have our third chat moderator hanging around, and that would be Miss Sarah D. So welcome, everybody. So let's jump on into the news, because hitting stores in September from North Star Game Studio. Yes, they have changed their name. It's not North Star Games anymore. It's North Star Game Studio. Regardless, in September comes Ela and Something Shiny. Here's what I know. Somewhere far away, a mystery awaits. Deep in the forest, an innocent rabbit, Ela, leaves their home to embark on a life-changing adventure. Ela and Something Shiny is a single-player, story-rich board game. Of course, you play more than one player, but it is a solitaire game. Set in a mystical world. Take on the role of Ela as you solve puzzles, manage resources, and overcome challenges through underground perilous mazes, harsh snowy highlands, and more. Experience an exciting and emotional story told across 5 chapters, featuring stunning art and illustrated comics. With branching story paths, your choices matter, affecting each chapter and deciding how the game ends. Good luck! Ela's fate is in your hands. Ela and Something Shiny, once again, is a solitaire game. It's for ages 12 and up. Plays in around 30 to 45 minutes per chapter, and it's going to carry an MSRP of $64.99 when it arrives next month. Nice to see North Star releasing something. I think they had another game. I'm not sure if it already came out or if it's just on the very near horizon, but for a while it was sort of, I don't know, kind of weird. I really never heard anything going on with North Star. And of course, Bruce, who had been their PR person, had moved on. And for a while it looked like, I don't know, was North Star Games going the way of Mayfair Games? In the way of the dodo? Because I noticed some of the Evolution games were popping up with other publishers, and it was like, But it seems that North Star Games Studio is doing just fine, because they've got this and another game. Like I said, I'm not sure if it was a Gen Con release or if it's out right now. But looks like they're doing all right. Looks like they're doing okay. Jack Hanks and Game Masters Hobby are hanging out with us. I think I said hello to Kevin R. Smith, pretty sure. So there we've got that. Uh-oh. Madman asks if that's a band hammer they see in the shadows. I guess I'm taking a guess that's a reference to Sarah D, who may not be watching. I don't know. I'm just, Okay, Kevin says yes, you did. So I thought I had said hi to Kevin right before I said hello to Flaming Heron, but I wasn't positive. And if you watch the stream, you know I always do my best to say hello to people who take time out to hang out in chat. So let's talk about some role-playing game news, because now available in PDF and available for pre-order from Elf Layer Games is Wasted Lands, the Dreaming Age role-playing game. Here's the scoop. Wasted Lands, the Dreaming Age is a game of swords and sorcery in a savage, lost epic set millions of years ago. Instead of playing adventurers tied to the service of mythological deities, you play the all-too-mortal proto-human origins of the gods of classic mythology, whose stories will inform on our own ancestral memories and ancient civilizations. As you engage with your mythology and others, you gain special powers that will lead you on the path of apotheosis. I need to grab a quick sip. That word just snuck up on me there, kids. And yes, Sarah D said she is mostly listening today. You had another surgery on your leg? Oh my gosh. I'm hoping you're feeling okay. See, I bet you it's from too much kicking Mr. Eddie T's ass around the house. I'm joking. I'm just joking. Anyway, you gain special powers that will lead you on the path of apotheosis. The game is offered as a 2-volume set. The Wasted Lands, the Dreaming Age role-playing game, which contains all the rules of play, and the Gazetteer, the Dreaming Age and campaign guide, which contains the setting, bestiary, and game master information. Within the first volume, you're going to find complete rules for running a game of swords and sorcery, high fantasy, traditional fantasy, or any type of fantasy play you can imagine. There are 7 character classes: the Archer, Necromancer, Psychic, Renegade, Sage, Sorcerer, and Warrior. Simple, intuitive rules that encourage creative play and will feel familiar to players of any version of the world's most famous role-playing game. What could that possibly be? Divine touchstones that give a touch of mystic power on the character's path to apotheosis. I know, it's apotheosis. Just having too much fun with that word. There's customizable levels of play to set your game as gritty or as cinematic as you'd like. Complete rules for games powered by ogres or powered by orcs, as you choose. Guidelines for conversion to a variety of unified mechanics. Roll high, percentile, and dice pools. There are optional rules for skills, magical duels, enhanced combat, non-human species, and human cultural backgrounds, and more. The second volume, the Gazetteer of the Dreaming Age and Campaign Guide, includes a setting that evokes classic swords and sorcery with cosmic horror, which can be easily removed to play your own games in a setting you desire. Guidelines, tips, and tricks for GMs running campaign chronicles that trace the birth of gods, and for players participating in a Dreaming Age game. An extensive bestiary of the creatures that haunt the spaces between spaces. An overview of the history and timeline of the Dreaming Age. A breakdown of the peoples that populate this lost epoch. And a full gazetteer of the world of the Dreaming Age set around 65 million years ago. There's a full-color, full-size poster map of the Dreaming Age by Meliora Henning. Meliora, I think that's it. Meliora Henning. There's a new class of old school with takes on swords, sorcery, and Yog-Sothothery. The horrors of the Dreaming Age call. Will you make your mark? Now, physical copies of these 2 books are set for a Q4 release. Talking about November, maybe December, somewhere in that vicinity. You can pre-order these right now. Now, both of the books do carry MSRPs of $49, but if you pre-order, you can get them each for $45. So save $4 on each of the books. The PDFs are available right now over at DriveThruRPG. They're normally going to carry an MSRP of $20, but because we still have that cosmic horror sale going on, you can get both of these in PDF for $15. Kevin says that they backed this Kickstarter and they love this system from Night Shift. I would take a guess that's a horror game. So Sarah said she had 2 veins lasered shut because valves were not closing and blood was pooling in the leg. Yikes. Now we're closing off all the little tributaries from them. Wow. But Sarah says she's only got 1 more procedure left. That's good. That's good news. And of course, I was just teasing about Mr. Eddie T, who we actually rarely ever see in chat anymore. He must be watching some other gaming show in the other room. He's like, I've had enough of this ass clown. I'm watching somebody good. All right. Anyway, so this looks really interesting. I was very intrigued by this. In fact, I think those PDFs just became available today, either today or yesterday. So looks pretty sharp, looks pretty good. Should also mention that there is a pay what you want quick start. That's where I got some of these interior page images. It's pay what you want over at DriveThruRPG. So remember, pay what you want. You can pay zero. You can pay nothing. And authors are okay with that. That's why it's pay what you want. So there is that if you want to check it out. So Kevin says Night Shift is urban fantasy a la Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Or supernatural. Yes. I know a lot of Supernatural fans, and I have watched all of, let's see, about 3 minutes of an episode once. And then at San Diego Comic-Con, I was doing cameraman duty for a round table for the next to last season. And I had to sit there with Elliot as he watched a recap of Supernatural. And I was like, oh, man, this just looks awful. Okay, the special effects looked awful. The show itself might have been just fine. And I can't really rip on shows for bad special effects because I grew up watching Doctor Who on PBS. So I cannot rip on bad special effects. Madman says there are so many good role-playing games being released. Wish that he could support them all, but he already has more content than he can run it for years to come. On to the next news piece. Returning to print from Troll Games is the classic Igsburg fantasy setting from author Gary Gygax. Here's the skinny on Volume 1, Castle Zagig. I've got the lowdown. Beneath the shadows, the ancient, dreaded Castle Zagig stands the fortified town of Igsburg. Its stout walls and cobbled ways give ample refuge to those bold and worthy adventurers who come to the Four Tors to plunder the dungeon deeps of the Mad Mage. Beyond the protective covering of the town's walls and the deep waters of the Urt and Nemo rivers lie a vast rolling countryside from the glittering knobs, the uplands, to the lonely valley. Enter the environs of that most dread of magi. Test your mettle and make ready for the hero's forge that is Castle Zagig. The book is the setting for the famed Castle Zagig, the monstrous dungeons of legend. And this is more than a campaign setting. This book consists of the town of Igsburg and its environs, which include the town of Garum, and 60 different geographic locales, each with their own peculiarities and adventures. The map charts over 1,500 square miles of adventuring terrain, allowing the inclusion of Igsburg and environs into almost any fantasy campaign setting. Each geographic locale has one or more adventures associated with it, offering hundreds of different plots, themes, and escapades players can take their characters on. Right now, you can pre-order the 258-page hardcover for $65. This is going to include the PDF and is expected to ship in either September or October. Do want to mention, as Kevin R. Smith has pointed out, I interviewed the team from Troll Games and Luke Gygax last Friday, and I posted that video. So if you want to get a little bit more information about this release and what else Troll Games is looking to bring out, definitely check that out. So a couple of things I do want to mention that isn't really discussed in the sell sheet info. And first of all, there are no changes being made to this book. So if you're not overly familiar with Castles and Crusades, it has not changed over the, how long has it been out now? 20 years? I think the original little box set came out 2003. 2003-ish, somewhere around then. So if you had that first edition or like the second print run, because they don't really call them editions of Castles and Crusades. They're just print runs. So we see some small changes are made sometimes from print run to print run. But if you have the second print run of the Player's Handbook, or you have the 9th print run of the Player's Handbook, it plays the same. There might be some cosmetic changes. There might be some, grammatical changes, but everything still plays exactly the same way. And of course, this was originally released from Troll Lord Games. So what's going on here is that there's all this content that Gary Gygax had completed or was in the midst of that has never seen the light of day. And Troll Lord Games and Luke Gygax are trying to show the conservators of the estate that Troll Lord Games and Luke Gygax will be good stewards for this content and to be able to publish it. So there are 3 items that had already been published from Troll Lord Games back in the day, and those are what they're coming out with now. So this is going to be the first. So Igsburg, Castle Zagig is going to be the first release. I will point out, if I hammer other companies for their pricing on stuff, yes, I will be the first to say $258 for a hard, or not $258, $65. Duh, I should have been looking right at that 258 as I said dollars. $65 for a 258-page hardcover is pricey. Yes, it will include the PDF. All right, so you've got that. But the thing is, if you wanted to buy this online, secondary market, it is really expensive. It really, really is. So who was it just pointed out that this looks like the AD&D Greyhawk maps? There you go, Game Master's Hobby. Guess what? Darlene did the overland maps for this as well. Darlene did the Greyhawk map. She also did this. That's why it looks like the Greyhawk map, same exact artist. So I thought this was very cool news. I am looking forward to checking it out. Hopefully, the fine folks over at Troll Lord Games, will be like, yeah, let's send Jeff a copy so he can share it. So, fingers crossed. Kevin says their only physical copy of Castles and Crusades is the 3rd printing. So here's something else I'll point out. And you can check out the interview video because I include these links with that on YouTube, here on YouTube, I should say. I was going to say, or you can, of course, go over to thegaminggang.com, check out the interview there because I have the links there as well. But you can't right now because the website is down. Talk about that when we're finished with the news because I'm getting really irritated because now we're at about the 8-hour mark. So these links will get you the 2 books you need to play and run Castles and Crusades absolutely free. So because you can get, I want to say it's the 7th printing of the Player's Handbook. There's a link for that. Get that free. There is a Castle Keeper's Guide, but unlike most role-playing games out there, that Game Master Guide isn't necessary to run the game. It's just all optional stuff. So, okay, well, if you want to have, optional magic system or just, optional combat rules, stuff like that. None of it is needed to play and run and enjoy Castles and Crusades. You need the player's handbook. Once again, got a link, absolutely free. And then you need Monsters and Treasures. I've got a link for that as well. Get that absolutely free. So essentially, you can get a fantasy role-playing game, and one that I think is really, really good without spending a nickel. How about that? Kevin says that Castle Zagyg is kind of a reworking of Castle Greyhawk minus what is now the Wizards of the Coast IP. There was another castle that Gary Gygax did, but it wasn't for Troll Lord. Trying to remember. I want to say it's something Castle Gax something. So because Gary Gygax, after he got run out on a rail from TSR, which I still think they treated him like absolute dirt. But Gaxmore, thank you, Kevin. I knew Kevin would know. Yes, Castle Gaxmore. I think that is also kind of a reworking of Castle Greyhawk. Yeah, I think you're right, Kevin. I think it is Gaxmore or Gaxmoor. So anyway, Gary Gygax didn't treat Dave Arneson too well. So it kind of came back and bit him. Karma's a bitch. But still, I think they really did not treat him very well. Should check out, if you're ever interested in learning more about Gary Gygax, although some of the book irritates me because the author kind of takes liberties what Gygax was thinking and stuff. And it's like, how would you know? You don't know. But Master of Imagination. Pretty interesting book about the early days of D&D and TSR. And it's, the life of Gary Gygax. So like I said, pretty good, although there are some parts where it's sort of like, no. Should have just left out the, hey, I'm I know what Gary Gygax was thinking at this. No, you don't. When he's walking down the street. Because I guess Gary Gygax didn't drive. He didn't know how to drive. Or he did learn how to drive, but crashed his dad's car, if I remember right. If I remember the correct story. He had actually borrowed the car. So Kevin says, yeah, they're sure about the pronunciation, not the spelling. Yes, exactly. But yes, it is Castle Gaxmore. Anyway, so as I was saying, you can check that out. I've listened to the audiobook. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I find that to be an interesting story. Should also mention I am trying to see about maybe having Gary Kahn give Elliot and I press passes, which they don't do press passes, but I would really like to cover Gary Kahn again. In fact, I asked Elliot if he'd be interested, and I thought for sure he was going to say, no, it was too expensive. Because the reality is, with our passes and the hotel, this is Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, in March. But with our passes and the hotel, it was more than we spend to go to Gen Con or Comic Con a piece. So I'm kind of dipping some feelers out there to see about maybe getting press passes. Cause I like I said, I'd like to tackle it again. And I was very surprised because I asked Elliot if he'd be interested, and he'd be like, oh, yeah. Flaming Heron says, that's crazy. Yes, because Lake Geneva is just a little summer town in Wisconsin. It's no great shakes There's not really anything there. And it's in March. We had like 3 hours of like blizzard conditions while we were there for Gary Con last. Well, actually, it was earlier this year. So pretty weird. All right, moving right along. My final news piece, now available in PDF from Pinnacle Entertainment Group, is the Horror Companion for the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. And here's the lowdown. Savage Worlds and horror go together like chainsaws and spraying blood. The Savage Worlds Horror Companion lets you recreate everything from the classic Universal monster movies and Vault of Horror comics to Lovecraftian cosmic horror to more modern fare like The Walking Dead, the works of Stephen King, or bleeding-edge psycho thrillers. Psycho Killer! Cha-cha-cha! I don't know why that song just popped in my head. All in the award-winning Savage Worlds rules system. This 202-page book updates the original Horror Companion to be completely compatible with the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition core rules. What you're going to find inside is a gorgeous new layout by fan favorite Carl Kiesler, a beautiful new cover, all new art by the phenomenal Sigil team, and more art than ever before. New character options, edges, and hindrances. Play monstrous creatures of the night as unlikely heroes. Yes, Monster Squad. Just throwing that out there. Wasn't it? It's been so long since I saw that movie. Wasn't it just Frankenstein? Wasn't he the only monster who was actually good? Helps out. There's also new and updated gear like ghost traps, motion trackers, and a host of special weapons like silver, cold iron, and ultraviolet light catered for use against specific monsters. There are new narrative lodge rules compatible with headquarters for supers and keeps for fantasy groups. Build a lair for your team of hunters, upgrade it, and deal with the adventurous complications that come with it. There's a horde of new setting rules to emphasize the nature of horror, including new ritual magic, madness, buckets of blood, conviction for villains, wards and binds, and so much more. The creatures have been completely overhauled with new special abilities. Monsters from around the world offer unique perils and unexpected weaknesses to keep heroes on their toes. Monsters also come with different variants for more surprises and to help match different kinds of stories. Currently, you can pre-order the 204-page hardcover for $39.99. Yes, this was a successful Kickstarter. Or you can grab the PDF right now over at DriveThruRPG. Normally, it is $19.99, but not during the Cosmic Horror Sale. That's right. You can get it for the sale price of $14.99. So let's see what the Madman had to say, because he is our resident Savage Worlds expert. So let's see. Oh, Kevin says, hey, at least in Master of Imagination, at least he's honest enough to tell you in the end notes which scenes are speculation. Yes, but I could have done without him. And the intro into each chapter is like supposed to be a role-playing game, and it's got to be the world's worst game master. So the Madman says, Savage Worlds, yes! Back the Pine Box Middle School Kickstarter and added the Horror Companion as well. They can't wait to receive it. Should be shortly, I believe. So Flaming Heron said, do I need to ask whether you're already getting this? Just within, it must have been probably a second after the Madman posted that is when that popped up, said, answered my question. So the Madman says they plan on using the Horror Companion with the East Texas University setting. Yes, because I know that's kind of the Madman's main Savage Worlds campaign. Shaz is with us. Good to see you, Shaz. So once again, this is out in PDF on sale at DriveThruRPG, or you can pre-order the book as well. That is it for the news tonight. Of course, I was just talking about DriveThruRPG. Don't forget, the gaming gang, that's the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, DriveThruRPG to take advantage of that cosmic horror sale, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like the video, outside of just giving it a thumbs up, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource when it's up, hell, if you just like what we do, by all means, feel free to swing on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Yes, it is only soda. Truly, truly. Yeah, I had to get this because my diet right. I'm having a hard time finding it because I guess everybody likes that now as their diet soda because there's no sodium, no sugar, no caffeine, no sodium. I don't know, I was ahead of the curve on this stuff, and then it's like, ah, damn. Anyway, there are a lot of you out there who use those banner ads and or make donations through paypal.me/thegaminggang. So thank you very much. Big tip of the cap to all of you out there who do that, because if you're not overly familiar with the Gaming Gang, you may not know. I don't do Patreon. I don't do Kickstarters, a yearly Kickstarter, every 6 months doing a Kickstarter. I don't involve myself in that nonsense. Now, I have bounced around doing a members only sort of video stream a couple times a month, but I haven't ironed all that stuff out yet. I still don't even know if I'm going to do it. Anyway, Flaming Heron asks, any thoughts on the new look for DriveThruRPG? I have taken a look at their preview of it, but it just always reverts to its standard. I don't know. I'm just so used to the standard edition that they've got now. So, Tessie Trekkie says, I too know the pain of sugar-free, caffeine-free, sodium-free soda to not have a stroke. I don't use that much salt anyway. Thankfully, I've never been a big salt person. I am more of like a crushed red pepper sort of person. But it's not that huge a deal. I never, like, the tests that I have never show that I've got any sodium problem or anything like that. Keldon is with us in chat, as is Roger Perdome. Howdy to you both. So, if you were tuning in, I mentioned earlier, and I've mentioned since, the gaminggang.com website is down right now. In fact, let me double check again, because I'm sure it's still down. Yep. Which is pissing me off, and I'll tell you why. I mean, just for the fact that it's down is pissing me off. So the company I use to host the website is called Known Host, and I've been with them for probably about a decade. Maybe, no, that's a little too much. Maybe about 7 or 8 years, but I've been with them for a long time. And the server farm that I have a virtual dedicated server at is in Seattle, Washington. And I guess they had a power outage. So since 11 o'clock this morning, the website has been down. And I'm getting like updates every couple of hours. So it looks like the server that my files are on has been damaged. So of course, now they're migrating me to another server. So who knows how long that's going to take. And I get it. I understand. You know, I worked for GoDaddy back in the day when GoDaddy was a big deal. But I understand when servers go down, it is a disaster and it's all hands on deck. I understand this. So you figure it's a whole data center that lost power for, I guess, a half hour or something like that. So anyway, so the site is down and it's just irritating me because you may not have noticed it, but I did a first look at the new Dungeons and Dragons book yesterday, and it went live. The video went live about 6 o'clock my time. And by the time we wrap up the show tonight, it'll probably have had about 3,000 views. And I will point out, if you have not checked out the video, you may want to, because I am giving away this alternate art cover of Phandelver and below the Shattered Obelisk. So, of course, all these people are checking the video out. I'm sure many of them are not familiar with thegaminggang.com in the slightest bit. And they're going to look at the website, and it's not fucking there. All that comes back is a message saying something like, database connection error. I tell you. So if you noticed over the weekend, got a lot of videos up. So I did a first look at Cults of RuneQuest, the Lightbringers, the Paizo preview for August, the review of Pathfinder High Helm, a first look at Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Up in Arms, and I had 2 more videos that are shot. They're done. They are in the can. And I was going to share one of them yesterday, and then this showed up. Of course, I have the other version, but it's upstairs because I actually started reading it last night. Because I want to, of course, get the review out there before it hits stores. And I did actually mention in the video, so they've got all that stuff all over the place. I'm reaching to grab it all. I mentioned in the video that I kind of had the impression that Wizards of the Coast is confident in this book because they got it into reviewers' hands really early. You figure it doesn't come out until September 19th. Now, I believe if you had pre-ordered the digital bundle on D&D Beyond, you get access to the digital files, I think September 9th, something like that. But still, there have been some Wizards of the Coast releases that have shown up like just a handful of days before they went on sale. So Flaming Heron's talking about, Jeff's pissed when he drops the F-bomb. No, I drop the F-bomb from time to time. Just one of the reasons why I drop the F-bomb is because my shows are not for kids. And if you know anything about YouTube, you want to make sure that YouTube never decides that, you know what, your channel is for kids, because then you're fucked. You will never make any money again. Not that I make any money now, but You won't make a nickel if they decide that your channel is for children. So every once in a while, I will drop the F-bomb. The Madman says if you've watched Ted Lasso, his wife has started to refer to him as Roy Kent. Good show. Really did like that show. There might be a 4th season, but I'm hearing that it's probably maybe a couple years off. Anyway, so the 2 videos I completed were my first look at Cults of RuneQuest, the Earth Goddesses, and my review of Pirate Borg. And when the review of Pirate Borg pops up, you might want to take a peek if you're interested in winning a copy of this book, because I will be giving away a physical copy of Pirate Borg to a lucky viewer, and I'll tell you how you can get into the running as well. So there you go. Jack Hanks said the adventure in the starter set was the first 5e adventure they dungeon mastered after taking a 20-year break. They absolutely loved it and are super excited about this coming out. Bill N is with us in chat. Good to see you. Thanks for popping in. Bill says most kids I know swear more than adults. Yes. I can't handle it when I see like an 11-year-old kid swearing and, you know, talking shit like he's, you know, a 17-year-old boy trying to get laid. It's like, shut up. Shut the fuck up. Keldon says, can I drop F-bombs in chat? I like doing that sometimes. No, we'll bust out the band hammer on you. Be like, boink. Oh, he swore. He said a bad word. He's out of here. Madman says, oh, there's a special place in his heart for pirates. Because the U.S. Coast Guard is commonly referred to as puddle pirates. Oh, I thought you had a soft spot for them because you had to fight them. Which, I mean, that is something the Coast Guard does do. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people don't realize that. All righty, then. So we are going to be jumping on in. We're going to be taking a look at Jinx's Almanack for Brancalonia in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief fucking intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Hiya, hiya, hiya. They're shrimply delicious. Hiya, hiya, hiya. You'll go for that mouth-watering, taste-tempting, meaty shrimp mixture all wrapped up in a crispy noodle jacket. It's a treat you can't beat. So come on, join the folks that are getting fresh, crispy Flavo shrimp rolls now at the snack bar. They're shrimply delicious.
Fresh popcorn, delicious and crisp, with or without butter. Sizzling hot dogs, bursting with juicy goodness. Tender, tasty hamburgers with all the trimmings. French fries, crisp and golden brown.
Throw all the tea overboard, man.
I say, this dreadful thing would never have happened if we'd sent them Wilkins tea.
Help, help, my parachute won't open.
Try some Wilkins instant coffee. It'll give him a lift.
Ideal's Robot Commando is here to help you. He's your one-man army. No enemy can destroy him. He fights off tanks, hurls missiles one after another. Even a squadron of planes can't stop him. Robot Commando fires his secret weapon. He takes orders from no one except you.
Boy,
Ideal's Robot Commando is battery operated to obey your command. Adjust the control, speak into the microphone.
Left! Fire!
Ideal's Robot Commando is here to help you. Look for your Robot Commando. He's looking for you.
That is a terrifying robot, eh? Hey, you actually got a little twofer from Wilkins and Wonkins. And that is because the Wilkins tea commercials, I cannot for the life of me find the little 5 seconds that would come after it where they would show like the boxes of tea. Like you see with the Wilkins coffee, sometimes you'll see the instant coffee, sometimes you'll see the coffee can. There's a few, but I've yet to ever see the tea. But I wanted to throw it in there because I don't think I had ever shared that one before. Alrighty then. So today we are going to be diving on in and taking a first look at Brancalonia, Jinx's Almanack from Acheron Games. It's written by Moro Longo and Marco Bertini, with artwork provided by Lorenzo Nudi and Fabio Porfidia. Hopefully I've come close to pronouncing those correctly. This 171-page hardcover is going to carry an MSRP of $39 when it arrives in October. And you can get the PDF right now over at DriveThruRPG. Normally it's $16. Right now it is on sale for $12.80, even though I would not say that Brancalonia falls into the category of cosmic horror for the cosmic horror sale. But hey, it is on sale. So let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Jinx's Almanack. So do you want to mention the fine folks over at Acheron Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. These days, it's very important that you know that. So this, as far as I understand, is a collection of material that had been published online. So let's take a look at the back. May the misfortune be with you. For some reason, Brancalonia, they have this like fascination with Star Wars. They like to kind of throw little Star Wars references out there. The Jinx's Almanack is an expansion for Brancalonia, the spaghetti fantasy setting, for the 5th edition of the world's most famous role-playing game ever. This volume collects and mashes together the daily Jinx issues and digital modules, the special editions, and the ones out of catalog, all officially published between 2020 and 2022, plus additional content unlocked during the game's second crowdfunding campaign. So there you go. If you are not overly familiar with Brancalonia, it is an Italian flavored fantasy setting, and your player characters are knaves, so they tend to be part of like a mercenary company. It is very, very interesting. It is a little tongue-in-cheek in some ways. It's funny because they talk about like spaghetti fantasy. And one of the things, whenever I think of Brancalonia, I know this is going to just sound so bizarre. I always think of those spaghetti westerns where it was like, Nobody Is My Name, or My Name Is Nobody. I think there was like a series of like 3 westerns, and they're almost a little slapstickish. It's like, that is like to westerns what Brancalonia is to fantasy. So we've got the Daily Jinx, the dispatch most widespread throughout the kingdom. So it looks as if we have some fake ads in here also. Now, we're not going to look at each and every page in here, but I do want to give you a really good feel for what you're going to find in Jinx's Almanack. Oh, some discussion of rifts for Savage Worlds. No problem talking about Savage Worlds. Rifts, on the other hand, Palladium, they're one of those verboten companies. Not because they've done anything to me. And people ask, oh, what do you got against Palladium? I always tell them, go check out their Robotech Miniatures Kickstarter and what happened with that. And all these people are like, oh, I don't know anything about that. It's like, well, you should. If you're going to sit there and tell me what a wonderful company they are, then take a look. All right, so we have the Postal Market. Knaves and Condottieri. Behold, Postal Market, an extraordinary service that these pages now feature. In addition to news reports and adventurous narrative, as from today, you may order through the Daily Jinx a choice of junk, knickknacks, and bric-a-brac, which will be delivered to you at no additional cost, even in the most meaningless and forgotten corners of the kingdom, in the most remote hideouts of your bands, in the most sordid and despicable dives, jailhouses, and dungeons you choose to patronize. So it looks like these are some new items, just some oddball items. So Flaming Heart says, what don't we have against Palladium? Yeah. Those of us who have been in the hobby for quite some time really don't care for that company. And there are some apologists out there that it's like, oh, Kevin, I for some reason I want to say his last name is pronounced Symbiota, something like that. Can do no wrong. And it's like, really? It's like, take a look at that Robotech Kickstarter where all those people got ripped off. So I'm just taking a look to see. These are like little articles. Almost seems like kind of giving you some flavor to the background. And then we have an important NPC. So this is kind of, as far as I understand, I think this is kind of almost like a potpourri of all different entries for Brancalonia. So Kevin says he did plenty of we. Yeah, so Kevin says he did plenty of wrong before that Kickstarter. Oh, I'm not. To me, it's just when people, when I have to point out, hey, that this is not a good company that you want to probably support, it's just easiest for me to say, hey, take a look at the Robotech Miniatures Kickstarter from Palladium. And that's all you need. I mean, yes, before that, yeah. We're not here to talk about Palladium games, though. We're here looking at Jinx's Almanack. So yes, this looks, at least this portion here, seems like these were, because it even says on the back that this is a collection of the Daily Jinx. And it seems like the Daily Jinx is a collection of articles that would appear online. Now we have some recipes. So we have dead water. Dead water is an original and peculiar concoction which can serve as a tonic after an abundant meal. Its main difference when compared to more common aquavit comes in the addition, during the final steps of its preparation, of the ashes of the living dead, which confer it a blackish color. And this is supposed to be an aperitif? Oh, but it says when you drink this concoction, you regain 1d4 plus 1 hit points, and you must succeed on a DC 10 Constitution saving throw or become poisoned for a minute. Boorish coffee. When you drink this concoction, you can choose whether to take it individually in a small cup or together with a shoddy concoction in a large cup. When you drink a boorish coffee in a small cup, for the next hour, each time you make an initiative roll, a dexterity saving throw, or a constitution saving throw against exhaustion, you can roll a d4 and add the number to the roll. In addition, the time needed to finish your next short rest, I should say, is halved. I got to point out, the font is pretty small on this. The Phantasm of the Sea Shadows. It says, The Phantasm of the Sea Shadows is the first of Brancalonia's Misfit Tales, a collection of short adventures serving as a starting point for very simple jobs, between one main scenario and the next maybe, or as an encounter during a voyage, or as an interlude between different episodes of a campaign. In particular, Salty Sailor's Misfit Tales are all set across the kingdom's 7.5 seas and can be used for, what the hell does that say? Oh, Misfittery Enterprises? Under the command of Captain Edvige the Bewhiskered. So here we've got another salty tale. I would also point out that Brancalonia is, I would personally say, is best suited for a mature audience. I think a mature audience who has seen like spaghetti westerns and stuff like that. Even like Italian fantasy movies from way back in the day. I shouldn't say way back in the day, what, 60s and 70s? I think those people will get the biggest kick out of Brancalonia. Not to say that, you need that kind of knowledge to enjoy the setting. No, not at all. But I think those people would, Madman says, mature audience, I'm out. Oh, see now, and I thought the Madman would be a more sensitive viewer. The Rat Catcher, yes. One of my favorite careers in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is the Rat Catcher, because they get that mean little dog, which is actually a pretty awesome starting piece of equipment. So we have Good Knaves Wanted, game hooks, questionable tasks, and ill-paid jobs for the kingdom's knaves. I should point out, there are a trio of new Brancalonia books that are going to be hitting Kickstarter in September. I am actually going to be sharing a video. I got to be honest, though, I don't have like PDFs of them or anything like that, which I normally have when I do like Kickstarter previews. The books aren't complete. They're not finished. I have some images. but I am going to be sharing a video, which is pretty much an overview of Brancalonia with the 4 current books, and I will touch upon those 3 books. So one of them is the bestiary, and I was asked what I thought of them calling it a worstiary, and I said I liked it. I said, yeah, I like that. Of like, I would say count my vote for. There's also going to be a new adventure campaign. And then Flaming Heron's pointing out the Spaghetti Fantasy Bestiary, yes, and a Gazetteer. So those are 2 of the books. And then the 3rd book is going to be it's either an adventure campaign or it's a collection of adventures, but it is an adventure book. So we have various different scenes for this. That seems to be a little longer adventure. Oh, here we go. It's it's the Treasure of the Begot. It is an introductory job for a small band. So 3 to 6, actually. So now we have some new monsters and enemies. Jack Hanks pointed out, beautiful artwork. In fact, Brancalonia won the Gold Ennie for online book. So a fistful of hops. So it looks like, oh, this is another introductory job. So that's kind of cool. So we get some introductory adventures here. And as far as adventures go, Brancalonia is kind of a scene-based role-playing game. You're not looking at, like a lot of like dungeon crawling or hex crawls or anything like that. So Tessie Trekkie has pointed out, okay, another Palladium knock. Kevin at Palladium has a long history of, I'll hire you as a freelancer, give you no feedback during the writing, take your work, declare it's horrible, rewrite it, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and then claim he won't pay you. But then, of course, he'll publish it and make money off it. Flaming Heron says, Acheron have had a few banger releases. Yes, we are going to actually be looking at Inferno. So that is on the near horizon. I don't know if that's out yet or not. Because the funny thing is, I thought this was out. Because I got this, and I also got, I'm trying to remember the other book. Maybe that's the Gazetteer. I forget. But I thought it's an adventure book. Anyway, we're going to be taking a look at that as well in the near future. But I thought the 2 of those books were like out, but I guess they're not. So it looks as if we are wrapping up with some adventures. So this adventure is for more experienced knaves, level 4. So these look to have about 5 scenes each. This is for higher level knaves. So if I remember correctly, I think the cutoff is 10th level for Brancalonia. So it looks as if some of these adventures are actually using some of the characters that we had seen. So Jack Hanks says that they have Inferno and it's awesome. So yes, I guess it is out. So So it looks like we've got monsters and important NPCs in here. New magical junk. Hot cross buns. This is another adventure. All right, so here's the introduction for the Jackrabbits. The Emperor's army camp is in hubbub. It seems that one of the lieutenants, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, has turned coat and is in hiding at the castle in, not even going to try to pronounce that either, ready to spill every single bean about the techniques and strategies of the Landsknecht army to Viscount Nefario, who will in turn sell the information to the cahoots. The keep is not strategically important, but appears to be impervious to the forces currently surrounding it, in part due to its infamous and incredibly skilled snipers. So are the player characters tasked with breaking in? They must be. Oh, so here we have, is this supposed to be Dante as a character? Yes. Oh, that's pretty wild. Yes, there you go. Using him as an NPC in Brancalonia. So Flaming Heron says, Inferno is coming for Kickstarter backers. It's Apocalypse that's still coming. Yes, because that was not at Gen Con. But Inferno was, because that's where I got the 2 books. All right, so that's how we're going to wrap up. And then, of course, we have some Lex Arcana. The Empire Wax Back is the other book. And there was a code there for the PDF, which I already snagged. Ha ha. Don't even bother trying to get that code. Already got it. All right, so that is Brancalonia, Jinx's Almanack from Acheron Games. And of course, I will have a review of this in the very near future. Once again, I should also point out, stay tuned, because early in September, I will be sharing an overview video about Brancalonia as a setting itself. And I'm going to talk about all 4 of the current books. All right, let's swing back on over to the other camera. Although I will point out, this is coming out in October, does carry an MSRP of $39. You can grab it in PDF over at DriveThruRPG, normally for $16, but it is on sale right now for $12.80. Yes. All righty, what's cooking the rest of this week? Well, tomorrow we're going to do a War Game Wednesday. And we're going to take a look inside Plantagenet. And this is a pretty hefty box. This is the latest release in the Levian Campaign series from GMT Games. So we're going to be taking a look at this. And then I switched things up a little bit because something arrived in the mail. We were going to take a look at Tiny Epic Vikings on Thursday. I'm going to push that to a week from tonight, because on Thursday, we're going to take a look at Tales from the Loop. They grow up so fast, from Free League Publishing. So I figured Tiny Epic Vikings is already out. It's not going to be that big a deal if I share a first look video next week for it. Whereas this is coming out, I think this is hitting sort of September 5th, somewhere around there. I don't think it's September 19th, although there's a lot of stuff hitting on September 19th, such as Dungeons and Dragons, Phandelver and Below, The Shattered Obelisk, Pirate Borg. That's coming out. There's a big Kickstarter. Off the top of my head, I don't recall what it is, but that's starting on the 19th. So a lot of stuff going on the 19th. Cesar Perez is with us. Good to see you once again. Thanks for hanging with us. So the Madman says, I've wondered why the big RPG companies aren't at Dragon Con. I do plan to talk Savage Worlds with Jody and Clint Black with Carolina Game Tables, looking for a table too. Tell him Jeff over at the Gaming Gang says hi. We're supposed to be seeing Savage Worlds and Deadlands, so fingers crossed that those have been shipped out. Because I hate having to like try and chase down game publishers that I'm not, tight with. And it's like, oh yeah, we're going to send that out. And then they forget. And you're like, I thought you were going to send this. It's like, now I'm going to feel like a real ass. Hey, so I just wanted to check in. Let's see, did you send that? So tomorrow I might have some inside dope about Cubicle 7 Entertainment. Don't know for sure. There was a big Kickstarter that was supposed to launch today. I was going to share news of. It had not launched, at least as of an hour before the show started. So I was like, okay. So that's why you may have seen, if you follow me on Twitter, you may have seen earlier today, I had mentioned I'd have a news piece from Free League Publishing. And then about a half hour before the stream went live, I was like, all right, so I'm going to have news from Elf Layer Games. It's like, wait a second, that was Free League Publishing, man. All righty. So that is it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, be sure to ring that bell because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my first look at D&D, Phandelver and Below, The Shattered Obelisk, and my upcoming review of Pirate Borg. It's in the can. It's out. In fact, I was going to post it today, but the D&D book showed up yesterday, so that kind of changed everything else. So there you have it. So Flaming Heart says they must have heard Jeff complaining about them. He must be talking, what, Cubicle 7? Oh, no, the site's up. Thank you. So what Roger's pointing out. Oh, yeah, you know what? Let me take a look. Because I can only imagine how old the page is going to be. I'm probably going to have to go back and repost a bunch of stuff. No. Amazingly enough, I don't have to repost anything. Amazing. So, because the Savage Worlds Horror Companion news piece wasn't actually supposed to post this morning. It was supposed to post tomorrow morning, and I just threw the wrong date on it. So that was the last news piece. And yes, the Phandelver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk, is up on the page as well. Nice, cool. Because I was like, usually the backups are 2 days old with my luck. So it's like, oh, great. So now I got to go repost all this stuff again. All right. So yes, the Madman is not going to be with us the next couple of shows. Have a great time at Dragon Con. Be very safe. Be careful. You know how these crazy cons can be. Anyway, if you were watching live, thank you very much. If you were watching live, took part in chat, a bigger thank you, because not only do you keep me company, you keep each other company while I'm paging through or unboxing games. And of course, I know a lot of you out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang YouTube channel. Now, of course, when you're not watching videos on the channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you kindly for watching. And until I see you next time, here's hoping all of you out there get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang. And why didn't it not switch over? Oh, I know why. Because I wouldn't go look at the website. Oops. All right, see you later, gang.